Hi, this tutorial is going to take a quick look at our frequencies and contingency tables calculator in Excel. And really the difference you can see down here, we've got the frequency table and the contingency table. The difference between them is a frequency table looks at the values for a single variable, whereas a contingency table looks at the values of multiple variables, typically two. So we'll come back to that momentarily. So let's take a look at a problem here. It says a researcher studying the prevalence of alcohol use among seniors in a particular high school asked 45 youth how many drinks they consumed in the last week. And then we're going to convert the following frequency distribution of responses into a grouped frequency distribution with different class intervals, right? So that's a different kind of frequency table that involves what we call classes or intervals. So let's just start with the initial data given by the problem. So we had 5 seniors who claimed to have 7 drinks in the last week, 9 who had 6, 6 who had 5, and so on. One thing we always want to do is find out the percent or the proportion of the total falling into each category, because that'll help us understand the pattern involved here. So we can see, for instance, that most of the seniors, 24%, which is still only about a fourth of them all, had about 4 drinks in the last week. And that tended to be higher when you look on either side of that. Tended to be more drinks. So we 5 or more, you can see adding together 13 plus 20 plus 11 and so on. So cumulative percent takes these calculated percentages, and by the way we calculate these percentages, and this is the Excel formula here. So for this particular row, it's B12 divided by B13 times 100. So B12 has the value 4, B13 has the total, so that's the sum of all the students, right? There's 45, it says there are 45 high school seniors. And so that's how we get the percentage in any of these given rows. And this is, of course, the sum is always going to be 100 when we total up the percentages. And the cumulative percent just starts at the lowest value and then proceeds adding the next level of percent as it goes. Okay, so starting off at 0 goes to 8.89, right? So we're just adding this to the total, and then we add 6.67, which brings us to 15.56. And you can see what we're doing is we're just summing the rows from the bottom up, right, to get to the cumulative percent. Okay, so for this one, you can see it's the sum of C10 to C12. Now a range of values in Excel is indicated by the colon there. So C10 down to C12 is the range, and it says we're taking the sum of those values. And it does that all the way until we get to the top, right? Because then it's adding up all of them, and of course it's going to total 100. Down here, what we're doing is we're collapsing values. So everything that's a 0 or a 1 is combined. You can see 4 and 3 total 7, and that's what we have down here. And you can see there's actually a formula here that's just adding those two values together. Here we have 2 to 3, again adding those two values, 4 to 5, and 6 to 7. And then we're also collapsing, in addition to collapsing the frequencies, we're collapsing the percentages and the cumulative frequencies and the cumulative percent. We didn't add the cumulative frequencies here. We skipped that column. So that's just a little example of how we can do frequency tables or frequency tables that are grouped. So this is individual level data and group level data. Contingency table. Now we're looking at 2 variables. So the example here, it says from the following table representing achievement for 173 television viewers and 183 non-viewers, so people who watch television and people who don't. Find the percent of non-viewers who are high achievers. Okay, so we have high and low achievers here on the rows. Let's make that bold. And over here, we've got our viewers and our non-viewers of television. Let's see, I'm actually going to merge these cells, which is under alignment. There we go. Okay. Okay, well, let's just move on. So what we have here, the given values for the problem are in the frequencies. So again, just like a frequency table, we're just showing the number of people falling into a value. So in this case, it's not a number, it's a category, right? So we have high achievers who are non-viewers of television, which is 93. Then we have the low achievers who are non-viewers of television, which is 90. And then among television viewers, we have 46 that are high achievers and 127 that are low achievers. So even just eyeing this, you can see that low achievement is about 3 times as likely as high achievement for viewers of television. But we're going to get more precise. So we have 2 types of percentages here. Since now instead of a single column, we also are introducing rows. We have to look at the column percentages, which are sort of what we have here, right? These are just columns, but we don't have any rows when we're looking at one variable. In a contingency table, we have to also look at the rows, so we have to look at the row percent. Okay, so what do we mean? So this percent, you can see, takes the number for the value and divides it by the total in the row. So there's 139 high achievers, 93 of them are non-viewers of television, and that's the percent. Is this value over that times 100. And we do the same thing below that here. So the row percent for low achievers, same thing. And then we also do that over here for the viewers of television. Right? And so we've got our column percentages, which total down, and then we have our row percentages, which total across. That's going to complete our, we call it a contingency table, sometimes called a cross tabulation, or for short, a crosstab. So we can now answer all these questions. Percent of viewers who are high achievers. So viewers, high achievers, percent, right? So we got 26.5% as far as the high achievers go among the viewers. Over here, the percent of viewers who are high achievers. Sorry, I missed it. The first one was the non-viewers who are high achievers. So that would be here, 50%. And then over here, the second one, the percentage of viewers who are high achievers is 26%. So just comparing those two, you can see non-viewers are about twice as likely to be high achievers, 50% versus 26% of them. The proportion of non-viewers who are high achievers. So non-viewers who are high achievers as a proportion was not a percent, is going to be 0.50. We just moved the decimal place over 2 spots. And the proportion of viewers who are high achievers, we just 0.26 instead of 26%. All right, so that's just a quick little introduction to contingency tables and frequency tables.